We'll wait, we have about 4 minutes more. Please give one to him. Thank you. Some of you may need the Pali chanting booklet that is in the corner on that stool. And usually we begin with page 3. Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccācāra veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramēraya majjapamā daṭṭhāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now please close your eyes. Adjusting your posture. Take a deep breath and release it. Please continue doing so, collecting your thoughts, inviting calmness, tranquility into this space. Keeping a gentle smile on your lips and on the face. Welcoming friendliness, being dear to yourself. There is no one dearer than oneself, the Buddha said. Think about a time you were happy and how you felt that happiness, joy. And you want to be generous and share that happiness with people who haven't felt it before, and you share it mentally, radiating loving kindness from your heart to all beings. In every direction, in front of you, to your left, to your right, behind you, above and below. May all beings be well and from your heart base, from the heart. You may not feel any joy or happiness at this moment, but you have the intention to share loving thoughts with all beings. You are no more, no less important than them, and they are not. They are no more, no less important than you. Radiating loving kindness equally with beings that you see and you don't see, beings who live near and who live far away. May they benefit from my friendliness and the spirit of sharing loving energy, loving kindness. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. Welcome back. So we have two very short sutras for studies today, because if I were to pick one, it's too short. I may not end up having enough words at the end, so I thought I should combine two. So friends that come every day have come today, so it's great to talk about friendship and loving friendliness, loving kindness in the discussion today. So do you each have this handout? And for those who are watching online, you have it in your email. So try to read the English part and skip Pali if you have never read any Pali before. And it's especially hard when you are reading it in Roman script. Can you try to, well, you will obviously read the English part. What's the English title? The Advantages of Friendship. And in Pali, it's Mittānisamsa. So Mitta or Mitra is a word for friendship. Anisamsa refers to advantages or benefits, and when the two words put together becomes Mittānisamsa. It's a combined word. I'm sure you all have some friends in your circle, and that way you are enjoying benefits of having friends in your life. So you might come across some of the benefits you already have in what we read in the sutra today. So Mitra is a Sanskrit word, also a Sinhalese word, and Mitta is the Pali term, Pali word that refers to friends, friendship. So we are all Mitras, we are all friends. What's the opposite of Mitra? The enemy. And for that there is another word, Shatra, the Sanskrit word, or Satura in Sinhala. And Shat, I think, Sat, the Pali word. Sat is used for many meanings, but Sat is like a sword. Anyway, now before I begin, if you look at the corner over there, you'll see two books, and they are both the same in terms of contents, and this belongs in that book. That is the chanting book, and when monks chant it, if they have an overnight chanting, that is the book they chant. So towards the end of it, there is a collection of chantings that have been added later. They don't chant that part, but they use it occasionally for different events, so they are included in that category, in that section of the book. And this is found before that collection, because this is a main chanting. It's a must when they do an overnight chanting. They start from this small, well, there are some chantings in the beginning, and this is one of them. And Mittānisamsa is also chanted, the one that comes after, in the middle of the next page. So when if you go to a Buddhist country, and if you spend, well, in Sri Lanka, if you spend a night listening to chantings, when monks chant, you'll come across these Pali words. And then maybe you will contemplate on benefits of friendship at that time, if you made the connection. Anyway, we'll go in there and understand the context. In the very beginning, you have these introductory verses giving an introduction to what we are going to read. And the connection here is, well, let's read that part. Shall we all read it together? While fulfilling the conditions for awakening, the Lord, in his birth as Temya, spoke on the advantages of friendship to his charioteer named Sunanda. For the whole world's welfare and benefit, we will recite that safeguard. Okay? So in Pali, Purinto Bodhi Sambhare Nato Temya Jatyam Mittānisamsa yang aha Sunandang Nama Sarathim Sabba Loka Hitattaya Parittantam Banamahe. Okay. So this is speaking about a time before Buddha's enlightenment, about past lives. At one point he was born as a prince who never spoke. So he was regarded as a mute. And his name was Temya. There have been showers when he was born, and therefore he was named Temya. Temya also refers to being wet, and being in wet conditions. And he had a strong memory. He could recollect his past lives. And the story goes as that this king had 16,000 wives. Can you believe having just 2 wives? Or 2 husbands in your case. But he had 16,000, and none of them bore a son or a child. So this queen made a wish that I have only done good things in my life. May I have a son and make my king proud. So this was heard by the leader of gods, the Shakra Devendra, the the divine leader, and that's also part of the tradition that when you are speaking the truth, his chair will be heated and he will know someone in human world needs help. So he looks and scan the human world and find you and come help you. So he wanted to help that queen and decided to send the bodhisattva, the person who is aspiring to be enlightened, to human world. Said, you go and please be born as a human child. And he sent 7,000, or I think so many thousand other beings to be born at the same time, to have as his followers. And so Temia was conceived and was born, and he was brought to the royal court, right, where they make judgments and have cases heard. And at that time he heard his father, the king, punishing 4 people, giving them capital punishment and with severe punishments, and he was frightened. And he saw in his past life, because he was a king for 16 years, just 16 years, he was destined to be born in hell and suffered an uncountable number of years. Because of this, he wanted to find a way to escape this. Now he thought he will be the ruler in the future. How can I escape this? And at the doorstep there was a friendly heavenly being who was friends with him before, and decided to help him and said, if you just do what I tell you, you will be safe. And somehow they had some communication, and the advice was to be mute and not be moving. So his limbs didn't move, he just stayed. Whatever the posture they put him, he was just not moving. I don't know how any being can do that, but that's the story. And when he was 16, they decided to make a decision about what to do about him. Can he, make him make him the ruler, or what will be the outcome? So nobody wanted him as the ruler because he didn't speak. There will be no judgment, nothing, no help. So the king also had granted a wish for his queen at the time when the son was born, because the king was very happy. And the queen decided to postpone asking for anything from the king. And at that point, when the king decided that this son is useless and should be sent into a cemetery, charnel ground, and let him be there for jackals to eat, the queen then said, don't do that. Remember, you granted me a wish, so please appoint him the ruler. And the king said, nope. Okay, maybe for 7 years, nope. Maybe for 6 months, nope. Maybe for 7 days. The king agreed. They did that. And on the 7th day, he thought, maybe my mom will be happy if I just speak. But he again, with patience, he made it through. He continued being silent. And they decided to send him away. And Sunanda was his charioteer. You found his name here, Sunanda. And a friend he had. So Sunanda didn't know that he could talk, but still decided to follow the king's order and accompany his friend Temia to the cemetery, the charnel ground, and just abandon him there. The order was to dig a pit and bury him there. So as soon as he was sent to that place, and Sunanda was the only person now around, And Temia wanted to test his body whether he can move. So he decided to move. And he also lifted the chariot, showing the strength he had to Sunanda. And Sunanda was amazed, like, who is this? I haven't seen you moving, I haven't. And he, as soon as he spoke, Temi also responded, my friend, this is why I didn't talk. I knew I will be appointed the ruler and I will have to make judgments and punish people and I will suffer. I didn't want to do that again. I have been through that already. That's why I didn't talk. And immediately he declared, I am never going to return. Don't take me there. I will continue living in the forest. Don't worry about it. Just tell my mom that I'm okay. And as soon as he went, he reported what had happened. And his father sent, well, including his father, they came to see the son and saw that the son had decided to be a hermit. And this hermit gave talks to the father, gave talks in Dhamma, spoke about past lives and what he had gone through and what his father will go through in the future as a king. Even in Sinhala there is a saying, there's a poem that says, if you want to go to hell, I don't think Bhante Sankhicha will like this. If you want to go to hell, be a king. So I think I don't remember how many days, or be an abbot of a center. be the chief monk of some place. Be a chief monk of a monastery. One monk wrote that poem, very popular in Sri Lanka, if you want to go to hell. But Bhante Sankhicha is a peaceful abbot. We are very, very proud of him. Very lucky to have an abbot like him. But some abbots, some chief monks get angry. Have you seen Bhante Sankhicha getting angry? I haven't. So, and his mom said he never gets angry. She has never seen him getting angry. So that's why he's an abbot. So, if anyone wants to be an abbot, be like him. Anyway, so the king, upon hearing his son's talks in Dhamma, abandoned the kingdom and also decided to be a hermit to somehow prepare himself for his future life. That's a thing in Buddhism, that there is a next life after this. So that's the story that connects with friendship. So Sunanda never, I don't know how Sunanda helped. I mean, there has been, I mean, that their friendship must have somehow helped for Temia's awakening or path towards awakening. Like, he's a friend who helps you to, be free from hell, be free from miserable realms, and be born in good births and continue aspiring for your wish of becoming a Buddha in the future. So Temia finally became the Buddha who taught this to us. Okay? So, in English, shall we read together? We'll read the whole thing, okay? He has an abundance of food, even when away from his home. Many live depending on him, he who does no wrong to his friends. Whatever country he goes to, in a town or a king's capital, everywhere he goes, he is honored, he who does no wrong to his friends. Thieves do not overpower him, nobles do not despise him. He overcomes all enemies, he who does no wrong to his friends. Without anger he comes to his home, he is welcome in public halls. He is the best of relatives, he who does no wrong to his friends. After greeting, he is greeted. Respectable, he is respected. He enjoys splendor and renown, he who does no wrong to his friends. Honorable, he receives honor. Worshipful, he is worshipped. He acquires repute and renown, he who does no wrong to his friends. Just like a fire, he shines forth. He is as brilliant as God. He is not abandoned by good luck. He who does no wrong to his friends. His cows are productive for him. What is sown in this his field grows up. He enjoys the boon of children. He who does no wrong to his friends. Whether that man has fallen from a cleft, a mountain, or a tree, while falling, he receives support. He who does no wrong to his friends. As the wind cannot overpower a banyan tree which has roots well grown, so enemies cannot overpower he who does no wrong to his friends. So we'll stop there before we go to the next part. So are you a friend like this? That's a question to ask as you are reading through these lines. The first one, he has an abundance of food even when away from his home. So say you go to Boston, my friend Kelly is watching from Boston. She prepares food for me. So friends, welcome you, open the door. My door is always open for you. That's like your parents telling you that no matter what you do in your life, my door is always open for you. They are the best friends. Like you cannot compare them with any other friend you have. Friends. Your parents are remarkable sources of friends for you. And teachers like the Buddha, monks are friends. And any friend who is telling you to not do wrong, who asks you to quit smoking, who asks you to quit drinking, who is a support, who asks you, who tells you it's great to keep 5 precepts, who leads you in the righteous path. They are called Kalyana Mitras, beautiful friends, spiritual friends. So Kalyana means pure. Their heart is pure. When they talk to you, they don't have a hidden agenda. They talk because they are genuinely interested in you. So such friends, whenever you visit them, they welcome you. Come anytime. Let's open a bottle. Nope. That's a no-no. A red flag. Well, there are those friends, right? There are many of those friends. If you don't have such friends to be around, it's best to be alone. Making yourself the companion you have. The Buddha said in Kaggavisana Sutra, the Eko Chare Kaggavisana Kappo, if you don't have anybody to associate, any good friend, any virtuous friend to be with, just roam like a single horned rhinoceros. Would they have a single horned rhinoceros? It's like, I think the Buddha saw them. He's from Nepal. He has seen. He's from that part of India at that time. He has seen rhinoceros. There are so many of them there. So just dwell alone. Don't try to forcefully find a friend just because you feel lonely. Well, there is a saying that says if you are, alone, if you are, 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 if you are miserable when you are alone, you are in bad company. Yeah. If you are miserable when you are alone, you are in bad company because you are not giving good company to yourself. Um, People like to go to rivers, to ocean, to sit under trees, to go to parks, just drive without a direction when they are alone. That's until they find the friend within and then they stop. The friend within is your own good qualities. I am worthy of just being myself and not having, bad friends. So if you are always magnetic, pulled towards bad friends, I think you are headed in bad direction. If you are headed towards betterment, improvement, you have friends who ask you to exercise, eat less, and you know, and you do meditation, and those friends are, really helpful to you. Um, that's why they say friends in need are friends indeed. That. Anyway, I went. This is about food. So you have abundance of food. No matter where you go to Sri Lanka, you have food. You go to India, you have food. You go to other places, you have food. You go anywhere, you have food. Um, when the Buddha went to forest, he had animals coming to offer food to him. Elephants did that. Monkeys wanted to offer food. That's really because he was no enemy to animals. Animals felt safe um, around Buddha. So anyway, this is pretty simple. We don't need it. I'll read the Pali for you. Pahuta bhakko bhavati vipavutto sakagara. Sakagara means one's own home. Bahunam upajivanti. Many come and support you. Many come and feed you. Yo mittanam nadubati. So mittanam dubati means you do wrong things to friends. But mittanam nadubati means you don't do wrong things. Next, in English, whatever country he goes to, in a town or a king's capital, everywhere he goes, he is honored. He who does no wrong to his friends. It's like a protection for you, an invisible shield that is protecting you. So at that time they had king's capitals. Even now in some countries they have king's capitals. Like in Thailand, you cannot say anything bad about the king. You will be jailed for lifetime or punished. So if you haven't spoken any bad thing about the king, you are a friend to the king. So you just enter his capital safe. And you will leave safe. That's important in Thailand. But we don't have royal friends, but some do. You never know what kind of friends you have in the long run. You come to know politicians, your friends become politicians, or they have connections. So, your friendship is a real wealth when you need to, even relationships are wealth. That's what they found when they did a study in Harvard for 75 years. Having followed many lives of people, many families, many couples, they found not the money you have in your accounts is your wealth, but your relationship. If you have had an appreciative relationship, if your head is not burning when you talk to someone, there you have such good health. You don't have this negative energy coming out and killing you from inside. So your relationship gives you long life, happiness, and lasting peace in your mind. That is your good health. And friends are also supportive of it. Friends never speak divisively to divide you from others. You know that there is some margin there that you shouldn't cross. You have seen some friends become like forever enemies. They have shared everything because they know, it's easy to become enemies when you know so much about someone's life. That means you know their shortcomings. And when you are an enemy, you start looking at those parts, the shortcomings. You zoom in and zoom in. No matter how good you have done to them, they forget all that. So I read somewhere that those who criticize of me never say good things about me. Well, that's not how it goes. I have been. There is a time I have been good to them, but they never speak about that. Those who criticize, that's not exact wording, but that's the point. Like they never speak that part about you, but you have been so good to them. That's the nature, and it hurts. Anyway, so what I was going to share about is something about husband and wife. Some of my favorite jokes are about husband and wife. So this husband told wife to embrace her mistakes. So what she did was she hugged him, embracing her mistakes. And another time, well, this we can go further with these things. I don't know. I just love them. Never criticize your wife's choices. You are one of them. Never criticize your wife's choices because you are one of them. Well, I'll stop there. Somehow, husband and wife are, really mutual friends. They appreciate good things and tolerate the bad things. Thieves do not overpower him because, if there is any danger coming toward his house, maybe friends can detect, like sense it. Or friends in the neighborhood always guard your house, your place. Nobles do not despise him. So Khattiyo is translated as nobles, means high class people. Do not despise him because even for those people, this man is useful and is a support. Therefore, they don't speak bad things about him. They don't, they are high class people, but just because this man is not high class, they still want to come to your house, ask, make sure you are doing good, that you have everything you need, that kind of support. That if you are in trouble, they come and say, I can help you, I can take care of you. He overcomes all enemies. Like enemies get attracted to your friendship, and become no enemies, become friends. He who does no wrong to his friends. The enemies are short-lived in that. That means the life. When someone becomes an enemy, that's a short time that they because of the power of your friendship, they start seeing good things you have done, and then they become friends again. Forget what had happened in the past. Don't worry, we are back in track. We are friends again. So in Pali, Nasa Chora Pasahanti Nati Manyeti Khattiyo Sabbe Amitte Tarati Yo Mittana Nadubati. So the next part, without anger, he comes to his home. So when he comes home, he feels peaceful. His wife is not there to ask like, why are you late? Look at the clock. She's not grudgingly opening the door and shutting it. because if he got late for some reasons, he will tell it. Just being patient. If he never tells it, maybe 5 days later, you can remind him, or her, like, asking like, I remember you came a little late that day. I didn't ask at that time, but did you have any trouble outside? That way, he's ready to share it. If and she's ready to share it too. But he appreciates the fact that you stayed so long patiently to ask that. There is power. But when you start, confronting and grudgingly asking questions, the energy there splits your hearts, and there's another story about that. When people yell at each other, when they scream, you scream because you feel like the other person's heart is too far away. You want the other person to hear, even though that person is sitting next to you, but you still yell because that's how far you feel away from that friend. Isn't that true? You just, like, if you are not angry, you will just talk normally. Sometimes it goes very far that the other person may not find their way back to your heart. That's the danger of it. That's the danger of yelling. That's the danger of screaming. So you yell at teachers, you yell at your friends. They're like, they remember it, and they freak out. They don't know what to do. So if you have to talk, just talk. Yelling, stop. Stop for lifetime. Right. He's welcome in public halls, which means they'll say, sing a song, give us a word. You're well received by all these friends, and maybe they might want to hear from you that you don't have any fear being there, because you haven't done any wrong. And you are also good for relatives, that when you go to visit them, they want to see you, because you haven't done any bad. And after greeting, he is greeted. So you say good morning, you also hear back, respectable, you deserve due respect. And Vanna Kitti Vato Hoti. So he enjoys splendor and renown that you have. This is like you are joyful and you have a big reputation as a friend who is who's wonderful to have. He who does not wrong to his friends. Honorable. So you are pujako. You are like so pujaka is the word translated as honorable. Pujaka is a singular word that refers to priests. But here, the meaning is that you are respect worthy because you are a good friend. Because you are pujako labate pujam, and that is because you also honor other people. There's reciprocity there. Pujako labate pujam. So look at the words like honorable, he receives honor, because you give honor and you receive it back. Vandako pativandana. So vandati means just like greeting, like namaste in the Indian way. In Sri Lankan way is ayubovan, and you don't do it here, but in Japan you bow. I've seen even a deer bowing to this man because he stopped his vehicle for the deer to cross the road, and the deer did it 3 times. Pujita knows, he lived in Japan. Japanese people bow like this, right? So that's you honor, you willingly do that, and other people also do that for you. He acquires repute and renown. quite similar to what we found earlier. So yaso kittincha pappoti. Your reputation continues to increase. Previously enjoy splendor and renown. So, which is, I think, what do you think the meaning there compared to this one? Splendor, does it refer to wealth? Some, I think, good name, something like that. Just like, so next one. Just like a fire, he shines forth. He is as brilliant as God. So, Aggi Yatha Pajjalati. You see that candlelight? There is light, radiant. When you are with friends, you just shine like a lamp. He's brilliant as God. I mean, Devatava Virochati. So God here means the deities, heavenly beings. Virochati means brilliant, like extremely shining. He's not abandoned by good luck. So good luck comes to you. Scratch lotteries, you win. That's gambling. His cows are productive for him, so that's a wealth in India to have many cows. They don't have diseases that cows like. They are happy because you take care of them and are productive. So that means your property is, productive to you. That in your company, if you have one, you don't have enemies. They all want your success because that is their success as well. That's how they look at you. What is sown in his fields grows up. Even plants know your friendship. That when you plant some seeds, it grows. Because your friends may tell you what's a good season to do that, what's a good auspicious time to do that, and that way you have a good crop. And he enjoys boon of children. Your children, when you are friends with your children, they want to be friends, they come back to you, they know that, they say, especially when you tell your children that my door is always open to you, no matter what bad you do in your life, they remember that. Because bad things happen when they're outside. They get into trouble. The Buddha even, when Singala lost his father, Buddha became the father, gave all that advice. You remember that teaching? Just telling this young, man, don't go out at night. It's dangerous for you. Don't do gambling. Don't do this. Don't do that. So that father advice is needed for youth because they don't know how to protect. That's why, in this country the law is like after 18 you are an adult. But that's the worst time of life for them to become an adult. They don't know how to raise a family. There is all these dangers out there in the society. They still need parental guide. Like in Sri Lanka, there is no such thing. Children stay with parents until they get married, or even after. There's no rule that children should leave after 18. No. His parents' law is the law at home. If my father says, you're not going out, you're really not going out. That's how I was raised. That freedom, too much of freedom is called wild donkey freedom. You don't have any directions, you go anywhere, get in troubles. Walburu nidhas, right? Alright, so it's 8:21. Whether that man has fallen from a cleft, I think cliff, Darito Pabbatato, Pabbata is like a rock. Rukkato Patito Naro, or falling from a tree. While falling, he receives support. Miracles. Or just you grab onto a tree, somehow something is there, some heavenly spirit may protect you there. The rock is your heavenly spirit. As the wind cannot overpower a banyan tree, virulha mula santanam nigrodhang iva maluto, so which has roots well grown. So you have this banyan tree, huge tree that has roots. You have seen these trees in India. Even here, I think, their roots really spread in the area. And it's a strong tree, hard to knock down from wind. So, and you are like that. Even when you, when strong winds like bad, calamities come, you are strong. So enemies overpower. Enemies cannot overpower. You are not shaken from enemies. So let's move on to the next one because we only got 8 minutes next. So shall we read it again? The discourse on the advantages of friendliness meditation. To the monks who felt a sense of urgency after hearing the simile on the mass of fire, the great sage preached this safeguard for their welfare and satisfaction. For the whole world's welfare and benefit, we will recite that safeguard. Thus I have heard, at one time the Blessed One was dwelling near Savatthi, at Anathapindika's grounds in Jeta's wood. There it was that the Blessed One addressed the monks, saying, "Monks, Reverend Sir," those monks replied to the Blessed One. And the Blessed One said this, "Monks, from the freedom of mind by friendliness meditation, when practiced, developed, made much of, carried on, established, maintained, augmented, and properly instigated, 11 advantages are to be expected. What are the 11? He sleeps happily. He wakes up happily. He does not see bad dreams. He is dear to human beings. He is dear to non-human beings. The gods protect him. Neither fire, poison, or sword can affect him. He can concentrate his mind quickly. His complexion becomes clear. He dies unbewildered, and if he penetrates no further, he will at least go to the Brahma world. Monks, from the freedom of mind by friendliness meditation, when practiced, developed, made much of, carried on, established, maintained, augmented, and properly instigated, there are these 11 advantages to be expected. The Blessed One said this, and those monks were uplifted and greatly rejoiced in the Buddha's words. So, sleep deprivation is a problem nowadays. People have issues sleeping. They seek refuge of drugs and pills for sleeping. But your drug and pills, it's loving kindness. Free. You don't need to buy it from pharmacies. It's something you can cultivate. Why can't sometimes people can't sleep? Because of your habits, looking at the cell phone, the screen has a light and it's flashing on your face, and your brain thinks that it's still the daytime. It just tries to learn from the experience. And sometimes you are just arguing on internet with some random person and it arouses your energy, and there's sometime you have to decide to sleep, and the body tells you, and then eventually the body decides to give up. So you are a person who doesn't sleep now, and that way you are less productive, your brain doesn't function as well, your mind also is not sharp, and when you start to use any pills that doctors recommend, you become dependent on it. What happens with loving kindness though? Let's open this for discussion. With loving kindness, ask questions, this is your time. When you have loving kindness, say a Sri Lankan living here calls their relatives and usually you call at night because it's their daytime, and you yell at them for something. um, and can you sleep peacefully? No, because there is, your brain starts to somehow control that energy that you arouses. Um, so it cannot be settled until you get, you calm down, and then you are able to get some sleep. But then by that point, you have to wake up and go to work. So emotional regulation is a thing like anger management. Loving kindness and mindfulness are keys. I've seen some kids who never get angry. Such a blessing. Sometimes parents say, my daughter, she lives in England, but she never gets angry. I thought, are you being sarcastic? How old is she? So he says she's 16. That's the age, they really get angry. I used to get really angry with my parents those days. That's the age, like lust, hatred, and delusion are the leaders, not your parents. You think you have so much power over everything. You think you are supposed to be free from the cage, and you know how to do things. Your parents are useless, they don't know anything. That's the 16-year-olds thinking. They run away. I ran away to the temple. But that's because my dad never wanted me to become a monk. So the only option for me was to run away from him. And the teacher there sent me back, said, you have to get your parents' permission if you want to become a monk. So I had to go back. At that point, my dad was there, and I talked to him. He thought, you are silly, you're just making a wrong decision in your life. You just had your results from that exam, and just you have a good future ahead. Why don't you do that? He didn't say that. He I think in his mind, he thought I wasn't going to do it seriously. He thought, this man is crazy. He's going to go and then come back in a couple of days. My mom is not the decision maker. She didn't say anything. But my dad also was really angry person, so that contributed to it. I kind of I freaked out sometimes in front of him. That affected too. That I wanted peace. So monks in the temple, the peaceful ones for me. They are happy. But only later I found how many problems monks have. They're good at pretending. Well, no, monks practice have good demeanor. Or at least they have some control over their problems. Anyway, I left, and my dad went to read my horoscope. The person who read it said, I'll come back in 1 year. But that 1 year has not passed. Anyway, so sleeping well, waking up well, just like a flower blooms. You don't have nightmares, that's because you are friends. And when you are burned from fire, or you are cut from a sword or from a knife, because of the power of loving kindness, because of the purity of your blood, it heals quickly. That's what it means when it says these tools cannot harm you. Also, your defilements are these weapons. They cannot harm you. When these defilements start to cut through your heart, start to bleed mentally, it heals quickly because of the power of loving kindness, that you can arouse the power of loving kindness, make a bubble of protection. I share this experience with people all the time when I talk about loving kindness. That we were at St. Louis airport our retreat manager, who continuously does loving kindness practice, had to cut through and park in front of this person, and that person got really angry, opened the door, wanted to yell at our retreat manager, David. But immediately after looking at David's face, he was like, he melted, sat back in his seat, and there was no communication. That's the power of loving kindness. That these people who try to, yell at you, just there's this bubble of protection. That's what I tell you. That when you have loving kindness, it comes and protects you. That's when, people have accidents, really bad accidents, but there's no harm for you. That's Devas protecting you, the heavenly beings protecting you. That's one of the 11 benefits. And Amanusanantiyohoti, you become dear to non-humans. That doesn't mean that ghosts start to follow you, but they know that you are a source of joy, that from you they get refuge. This is a person who is beneficial to me, that he has a good heart. The discourse of loving kindness that we chant every Wednesday here and Saturdays is all about that. These monks went to a forest to meditate. Tree spirits didn't like them because they had to abandon their places. Monks were sitting under them. Monks are respect worthy. They cannot live up in trees. So they started scaring these monks, showing skeletons, or these monks themselves had imageries about spirits attacking them. Monks abandoned the forest, went to the Buddha, said, we cannot meditate there, tell us somewhere else to go. The Buddha said, go back to the same forest, I'll give you a weapon. The weapon is loving kindness. Radiate loving kindness. Use that as your protection. Use that as your object of meditation. Now this kind of loving kindness, it says, Bhavita Bahuli Kata, you cultivate it and you do it more and more. So it's not just doing it for 15 minutes, you carry it. It's Yani Katang Vatu Katang, it's like your vehicle, it's like your sole object. That's the refuge you come back to. Doing it excessively, it's never there's no harm in that. Continuously cultivating friendships. Not that you are making friends all the time, but that's the heart you have. You are happy with what friends you have, and you start appreciating that. You make sure they are doing well. Every now and then you send a text asking them, how are you? People are busy these days. They don't have that time. Sometimes you never hear from them again. Then you feel sad. Later in your life, you want to go back and, rekindle that friendship, but they are not there. Anyway, so if you practice this much loving kindness, let's go to 11 benefits. I think it's numbered there, right? He sleeps happily. He wakes up happily. He does not see bad dreams. He is dear to human beings. He is dear to non-human beings. The gods protect him. Neither fire, poison, or sword can affect him. He can concentrate his mind quickly. So that's also an advantage when you meditate. Because of your loving kindness, you can concentrate. You can find stillness really quickly. Your complexion becomes clear. Doesn't matter what color of skin you have, but you can tell this person is such a friendly being, such a bubble of joy. That's a cultivation they have done in the past lives, that they have carried it over to this life. And they continue being such a bubble of joy to others. And you die unbewildered. You die mindfully. Your mind is not scattered. You know your next life. You know your next birth. You kind of know it's a good birth. because of loving kindness. Heavenly beings will come and welcome you, according to some teachings of the Buddha. And if you do not go any further, you will at least, what is any further? Like if you are not an enlightened, completely enlightened monk, that you have nothing else to be done, if your path is not yet complete, you will be a non-returner, which means you will be born in the Brahma world, in pure abodes, that you don't return to human world, seeking pleasures of sensuality. You have surpassed that. You have seen your past lives enough that you know you have been doing all these things again and again, that you need a refuge, and only refuge you find is there in the Brahma world, and there you become enlightened and never return. These things we can talk further. So those are the 11 benefits. So, which again says, loving kindness leads all the way to enlightenment. That's the conclusion there. Any questions? These are pretty simple though. The discussions, we don't need to go. By just reading it, we understand. It's just self-explanatory. So, but again, those who ask questions will be born wise. Yes. He's a wise man.
Can you say something about the first line, the simile of the mass of fire?
Oh.
In the introductory verse.
Yeah. I meant to say that the Buddha gave a talk about fire, and he saw fire burning, and then there was a bunch of monks, and he asked, what is good, monks? Embracing that fire, or embracing a woman. This is a teaching about lust for monks, monks who are affected by lust. Monks responded, embracing fire is better than seeking lust and continuing. Why is that? Just think about that. When you seek sensual relationship, this means for monks, when they have abandoned sensuality, they haven't renounced it yet in their mind, but they think about women in their meditation, and that's a hindrance for them, sensuality. So having instructed monks on dangers of that, the Buddha keeps giving several comparatives. We can do that discussion for that sutra for another, maybe for the next discussion or later. Fire is the starting simile there, and having instructed monks on dangers of seeking sensual relationships and asking them to focus on being mindful, the Buddha instructed them on loving kindness. That's the introductory. That's where the joke about embracing mistakes come. So, one wise man, hope he will help all other people. Anyway, thank you for coming. I enjoyed this session, hope you did too. And we have, I think, friendship days. You bring flowers, but I think what you're supposed to do is practice loving kindness the whole day. So that's the real meaning of friendship days. So with friendship, I bow to your friendship, and may you be well and happy. Happy meditation. May all beings be well and happy.